Well, hello everybody. Welcome back. It's Danielle Ronin with Keller Williams Realty. Doing my part to bring the community together and ask some of those questions that you either have been thinking about or haven't thought about, how this entire pandemic situation will affect you in all facets of your life. And to that end, I brought in my good friend Justin Egan of Fairway Mortgage. Hello, Justin.
Hey guys. Hi Danielle. Thanks for having me.
Hello. How are you doing today?
Good.
Certainly as a homeowner with an FHA mortgage, I am certainly concerned as a realtor, someone who's self-employed, right? Loss of income for a period of time, and how that might impact my family's ability to pay the mortgage. So what can you tell me a little bit, if anything, about what you know as of this moment regarding mortgage relief?
Yeah. So what I know is basically reading, just articles on CNN and just trying to stay, abreast of the subject. So currently, right now, there's the Foreclosure Forbearance Relief Act, that if I don't know the right terminologies, forgive me, that passed. So that's to say that no mortgage company owned by Fannie, Freddie, or FHA, I believe, is allowed to start a forbearance, which is the process of foreclosure.
Okay.
So
how many loans do you think, what percentage of loans in the U.S. do you think are backed by Fannie, Freddie, and FHA?
I would say 75% or more, I would say.
All right. So
the majority. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
So that's what's actually passed so far. Now there's a bunch of bills trying to go through the system. The next one to come up is, again, it's not passed, so don't quote me on this, but it's out there floating around, to where you're able to pause your mortgage payments up to 3 months, possibly 12 if there's extenuating circumstances. Now that's not available yet, but there's some legislation written, and I think it's going around. So they're looking for almost a pause button, a very easy way to do it. Not a long, drawn-out paperwork involving attorneys. Basically, hit a button, maybe online, and say, I need some relief for 3 months.
Just like we're all on pause right now.
Yeah, not here yet, but it's out there.
Can you explain a little bit more about the forbearance? Just going back to what we were talking about, what does that mean for people?
Yeah, so a forbearance is when you miss a certain amount of mortgage payments, the mortgage company will start a process called forbearance, and that's the legal process of foreclosing on a home. So they're going to reach out to you and let you know that they're trying to collect the debt, you're not paying your debt, and you kind of go through the process of the bank trying to basically take your home back for lack of payment. And that's paused right now. So that's not allowed to happen. Right.
So are they putting those payments on the back end of the mortgage right now, or how
yeah, a lot of companies do it differently, so it's hard to say, but most of the time, yeah, you're not getting away with not paying those, so you eventually will have to pay them. So yeah.
So your loan is just extended by the period of time in which you're paused.
I believe so, but again, companies do it differently.
Everybody
but that would probably be the norm. That would be the
generally, conceptually, that's kind of what we're looking at.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, and everybody will do it differently. Okay, so now talk to me a little bit about what's going on in your world right now. You seem to continue to be super busy. Yeah. What is occupying most of your time? What are you working on?
Yeah, so a good thing is people are still buying homes in this market. So there's still buyers out there. We've had a couple different, and I might lead into another segue, but we might lead. People are still buying homes. So we're trying to make it, and the government's trying to make it, that you can still purchase a home safely. So a lot of the big consideration was appraisers have to go into these properties and appraise them. Mm-hmm. Right now, we're allowed to do exterior only appraisals, which is not a norm, but the appraiser's allowed to walk around the outside of the house, go online and look at maybe some past photos, and do his opinion of value through using comparable sales without actually going in the house. So that keeps it moving on the purchase side.
Do you expect, I'm sorry, do you expect there to be some appeals as a result of that?
If the values don't get there, there's always appeals in this business. Right. So I just hope they go to the full extent and use as much information as they possibly can, to come up with that value. Maybe look at the listing, right? Every listing, how many pictures do you put on your listings?
As many as possible, right?
Yeah. So you get a pretty good sense of an idea of what the house looks like from the inside. from the description, and go from there. It's kind of different times, kind of different measures, right, that we have to do.
We have to do things differently.
Exactly.
You were segueing into attorneys when I interrupted you. What were you going to say?
Attorneys. So attorneys were doing some closings where they were leaving the package in the mailbox, coming back and picking it up later. But as of yesterday, a law was passed that we're allowed to do e-signatures, which means that the attorneys and the buyers don't actually have to be face-to-face or touch the same paper. Don't know the exact extent of it, but I know it was a huge hurdle for some of our attorneys so that they could keep closing loans and the buyers could be, safe at home doing the signature.
Do you know if that applies to documents that also need to be notarized?
I don't know that. I would assume it has to.
Right. Okay.
Because I actually do have an article that that I could forward to you. Maybe you could put it up on your website. But we could dive a little further into that. I don't know the exact on that yet.
Let me see.
And then,
go on.
And then you would say, what else keeps busy? Mortgage rates, they're low. So a lot of people are refinancing. So a lot of people are looking at their mortgage payment. If you have 4%, I would say anything higher than 4.25, you'd want to give myself a call, and I'd be able to kind of go through your options with you and say, okay, this is what your payment would be on this product, this product, this product, and here's the process. And the processes are streamlined now. You're able to sign from your house, and you're able to have an exterior-only appraisal. So it's a pretty good opportunity to refinance your house with low rates, and the ease of the process the burden has lightened a little bit.
Okay, and I was on a call with you yesterday, and I think you mentioned that the rates you're able to get were actually a little bit lower than. Yeah,
now more than ever, rates are different from institution to institution. Mm-hmm. So if I could say anything to a consumer is, do your shopping. Some of the larger banks have kind of put a pause on mortgages because they have too many and they can't process them all. It comes down to manpower. So it just depends on how what place you go to. I'm saying that our rates are lower than most banks. Happy to, give people personalized, quotes on that. But definitely you're not just going to see that little bit of difference between institutions. You might see a pretty big gap right now. Yeah.
Here's another interesting question, because some people, and I don't know what the impact is, who may have intended to buy are now experiencing loss of income, right? Either they can't work or they've been laid off. So they're clearly out of the buying pool for the time being. Would you agree with that?
They are out of the buying pool. We definitely are verifying employment, verifying current income. So they're kind of on the sidelines right now, but that shouldn't stop somebody, because these people are going to have time, right? A lot of people plan on buying a house summer, fall. Still happy to talk to you, do the work, and kind of prepare for when we, ease back into our daily lives. So if it's something you're interested in, it's not saying that we can't talk to you and come up with the game plan. We have a bunch of different game plans for different people, and here's the path we're going to follow. So now's a good time, because a lot of people are home and they actually have time to have these conversations.
Right. So, and I agree with you. Even on my end, let's just have the conversation. If it's something you've been thinking about, let's talk about buying. Let's talk about selling. Let's get you prepared. Let's make sure we can check all the boxes off and get you as prepared as possible, so that when the time comes, you can hit the ground running and all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. And we never really have that much time usually, right? We're always trying to tie together loose ends and scramble. Because it does move pretty quickly normally, and let's take advantage of the time together and do our research, and do it well.
And have some conversations and come up with some game plans. I'm sure you've been touching base with a lot of your clients as well, and probably having those conversations, right?
Oh, absolutely. I'm taking advantage of this time and just reaching out to everybody in my world, just to make sure everybody's safe and well. And, I'm so limited to what I can do, but, it's in my nature to help. And so whether it's dropping off a roll of toilet paper or referring them to you, whatever, full service now, all across the board.
And sometimes it's just a conversation, sometimes it's just to catch up with somebody that maybe during our busy lives, you wouldn't have had the time to.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the silver lining in all of this.
Yeah, we have to.
And doing all of those things. Any advice for buyers right now? What do they need to know, provided that whether they're prepping or they're ready to go? What do they need to know right now?
They really just need to talk to their mortgage person, talk to their real estate agent, and come up with a game plan. Nothing has changed other than some of the processes have been a little less stringent, a little easier.
Mm-hmm.
Buying a house right now, I mean, it's probably, if you're a serious buyer, I mean, I can't imagine the inventory that's not moving, that you might have had inventory struggles, right, up until now. And now might be some houses on the market that didn't go as fast. So there's probably a pretty good opportunity, but you would know better on that case, right?
And even on the lower end, right?
Yeah.
There's less competition now, that's for sure.
Yeah. So if you're brave enough to get out there and, or, you know, do virtual tours or however, you know, Danielle would suggest, but if you are a real buyer, I wouldn't take myself out of the game right now.
Right.
I really wouldn't. I think, you know, opportunity exists and creates, you know, at different times, right? So I believe that there is an opportunity for that buyer who's serious. You know, maybe you put yourself in a longer closing date. You know, maybe you say, I don't want to close for 60 days because I want this to kind of work out, but you could at least go to contract. You know, you could at least lock that house in, and do the work, you know, do the work while you're home and you know, get everything set. So my suggestion is don't take yourself out of the game, because the second that our lives resume, there's going to be a lot of pent-up demand.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot of pent-up demand. So you're going to see multiple bids on the same house.
Yeah.
That house could have sat on the market for the past 2 months, right?
Exactly.
So, but you know, that's more your world than my world.
Yeah.
But
well, I know a lot of attorneys now are also doing an addendum to contracts where the timeline is automatically is extended or grandfathered in, or
without
to
penalties,
protect, because we don't know what time we're dealing with. And so if buyers or sellers were concerned that they had to close in 30 days or 45 days, that's kind of off the table right now. It's close when we can.
Yeah.
So that takes that away too.
Yeah, there's a lot of rules that are being passed to make sure that business can still happen, and that it's not something that needs to happen under the old way, right? They're loosening up. So
any last parting words of advice or thoughts that you feel people should really know right now?
Yeah, I just think that if you wanted to take a look at, you know, lowering your rate, now's a good time to do it. And if you're a serious buyer, I really think that the conversation shouldn't stop.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you for your time, as always.
I appreciate it. All right.
And if people want to reach out to you, Justin, what's the best way?
Yeah, a text right to my cell is the easiest, 203-904-4242, or just Google me, Justin Egan Fairway, and my information will pop up.
All right, great.
All right, thanks Danielle.
Again, and we will talk soon.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Okay.
Bye.